Welcome to the Welsh Yogi Podcast.
Hi Krishna, welcome to the Welsh Yogi Podcast. My name's Gopal and I'm with...
Back to Ben.
Back to Ben.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through Sri Ishopanishad first of all. These podcasts will be perhaps every week. This is episode 1. We wish to share spiritual knowledge with everyone, and we thought we'd go through Sri Ishopanishad because it's one of the main wisdom literatures of India. So if I'm right, Ben, this introduction is written 1969. This is the introduction of the book, right?
So this is the Sri Ishopanishad. It's the introduction of the Ishopanishad is a lecture that's given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So that's Prabhupada's the founder of the Hare Krishna movement in the West, like that. But this is it's a cool interview because it's when he first came to London in the 60s. He got greeted at the airport and then got driven in a Rolls Royce straight to John Lennon's like manor house in the countryside, because actually he'd sent some of the devotees, some of the Hare Krishna people out to London before he got there to sort of test the ground and try and make some headway, and they actually ended up meeting the Beatles, George Harrison, and you know,
it's a far out story.
Yeah, there's so much information about that. But this is a month after he arrived, so he's staying in John Lennon's house.
Yeah, it's the first time Prabhupada went to the UK, right?
Yeah.
They said, they asked Prabhupada, do you have a conception of hell in your religion or in your teachings? Do you have a conception of hell? Prabhupada said, London is hell. It's always grey. And he said he used to say the sun never set on the British Empire, but he said, I've been here for a few weeks now and the sun hasn't risen once. So maybe we can start. We'll start reading. So the introduction, like Ben was saying, this is a lecture that Prabhupada gave, which was then put into this printed book. So we'll read the introduction before the invocation. We'll just say a prayer for auspiciousness to prepare our hearts and the atmosphere to receive this ancient knowledge. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So he said, ladies and gentlemen, today's subject matter is the teachings of the Vedas. What are the Vedas? The Sanskrit verbal root of Veda can be interpreted variously, but the purport is finally one. Veda means knowledge. Any knowledge you accept is Veda, for the teachings of the Vedas are the original knowledge. In the conditioned state, our knowledge is subjected to many deficiencies. The difference between a conditioned soul and a liberated soul is that the conditioned soul has 4 kinds of defects. The first defect is that he must commit mistakes. For example, in our country, Mahatma Gandhi was considered to be a very great personality, but he committed many mistakes. Even at the last stage of his life, his assistant warned, Mahatma Gandhi, don't go to the New Delhi meeting. I have some friends, and I've heard there is danger. But he did not hear. He persisted in going and was killed. Even great personalities like Mahatma Gandhi, President Kennedy, there are so many of them, make mistakes. To err is human. This is one defect of the conditioned soul.
Wow.
Because the day before that Mahatma Gandhi got assassinated, there was an attempted assassination on his life that failed, and he was warned not to go to this particular meeting. I think it was a prayer meeting, but then he was faced with his killer the next day, and the killer offered his respects or something, and then shot him dead.
Madness. So like he didn't listen to what someone was telling him.
The advice, yeah.
It's the error. But I think it's really cool what it says. Like, this is one paragraph, and there's so much that you could unpack. This is the content of these texts and what these yogis, these wisdom, Prabhupada, what they say. There's so much content in what they say. There's so much thing. But it's saying that in the conditioned state, our knowledge is subject to deficiencies. The difference between the conditioned soul and the liberated soul. So like there's two types of soul, the conditioned and the liberated soul. But because we always hear about like liberation or self-realization, but obviously there's two states that the soul can be. It can be covered by these defects like we're talking about, or it can be like a pure little blissful being. But I guess like that.
I mean, this was the first of Prabhupada's books that I read. I was reading the Bible and other spiritual books, but this really hit me hard in the heart when I first read this. When you first read this philosophy, it has a powerful effect, and just like you said, there's a lot of depth in these words. Prabhupada goes on to say, another defect, to be illusioned. Illusion means to accept something which is not. Maya. Maya means what is not. Everyone is accepting the body as the self. If I ask you what you are, you will say, I am Mr. John. I am a rich man. I am this. I am that. All these are bodily identifications. But you are not this body. This is illusion.
Do you think that's funny you say Mr. John? Maybe he's talking about John Lennon there.
Yeah, you think so, yeah?
He's in his consciousness, I'm a rich man, I'm this body, I'm that, whatever. So he's identifying as the body, but actually he's the liberated soul underneath all of that. It's just he's covered by this illusion.
You think he was referring to John Lennon?
Maybe not. Maybe it's controversial to say that, but that was in his world at that time.
Because it was around that time that he was staying at John Lennon's house, right?
Yeah.
And there was a ghost that he had to bust, wasn't there? There's like
was it?
Did you know? There's like the part of John Lennon's estate was haunted by this ghost, and the gardener wouldn't go in there. I don't know if there was stuff moving, like poltergeist type stuff, and they invited Prabhupada down. They had priests there, exorcists, no one could do anything. Prabhupada went in with some devotees, and they did a big kirtan, chanting Hare Krishna,
singing like
with musical instruments and stuff, and ghost went away. John Lennon was impressed. Yeah. But John Lennon wanted to become a devotee. Yeah. But it was Yoko Ono that stopped him.
Yeah. Because they were very much, because it goes into later how you have to accept sort of the authorities of the Vedas because of these different mistakes, these different like imperfectnesses that are covering us, imperfectnesses. But that was the thing. He was, when he first met John Lennon and Yoko Ono, they were very much into they were like eclectic people, so they'd take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and they'd build their philosophy based on a load of different bits and bobs. And that, I guess, that's something that can hold you back from accepting some of these Vedic philosophies, because it's so authoritative, it's so direct like that. So yeah, that was one big hang up that they had, was they'd take bits from here and bits from there, but wouldn't exactly know, wouldn't have like a strong philosophy then, because it's so meandering.
Nice. Third defect is the cheating propensity. Everyone has the propensity to cheat others. Although a person is fool number one, he poses himself as very intelligent. Although it is already pointed out that he is an illusion, makes mistakes, he will theorize. I think this is this. This is this. But he does not even know his own position. He writes books of philosophy, although he is defective. That is his disease. That is cheating.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about, isn't it? I think this, I think that. So this is my book on philosophy.
Yeah.
It's like one of our boys, Ollie. He was doing a philosophy degree.
Ollie was studying philosophy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I blew my mind when I was speaking to him about it, because when you started reading the Bhagavad Gita and this other wisdom literature from India, he was like, wow, I've never come across anything like this. He was saying he mainly studied Western philosophy, but I remember I tried to help him with his homework once. He was doing some essay, and he was saying there was some question about what's something like what's more moral, a lie or bullshit.
Krishna.
He said it's a philosophical term. But they teach this in schools. So it's a philosophical term called bullshit.
Krishna.
And apparently the philosopher came up with it, comes up with all these different subtleties of this type of BS, that type of BS, you know. And there was actually a question in an exam about BS, you know. Because apparently, you know, they were saying apparently the correct answer is a lie is more moral because at least a lie has some allegiance to the authority of truth or something. But BS is like you're not really
It's pure lie.
you're avoiding everything, sort of thing. But I said, what? You know, you're just, you know, you're studying literally bullshit.
Krishna.
You know, like you've got a whole, you write papers on it. I mean, it blew my mind. I mean, I'm sure there's some merit. I mean, he had some good, like Prabhupada goes later on into this, some philosophical terminology that does help, at least with understanding, sort of theorizing some, like he talks about, you know, man is mortal later on in the book, you know, man is mortal, therefore, it's a premise, you know, therefore, Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is mortal, sort of thing. So he has these interesting things there, but it was just, I don't know, it's like what Prabhupada is saying in this paragraph, it's complete, just mental speculation. Prabhupada said cheat and teach are very similar words.
Cheat, teach.
Yeah. So it's something that...
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing. And Prabhupada does actually talk about literal BS in a few paragraphs
Yeah,
too.
he does, yeah.
But it's it's just a kind of madness, like
But that's the point. You don't you know, you can say I think this is this is this, but Prabhupada says, but he doesn't even know his own position. So this is what Prabhupada, this is why I really love the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Ishopanishad, Srimad Bhagavatam, because it's not just some thoughts that you have to decide whether to agree with or not, but it's giving you practical sort of scientific instructions that you practice, and then you get results. You know, so it's much more like a science. So it's like a you know, I often hear like these books aren't just they're more like cookbooks. So a cookbook, you don't just sit down and read a cookbook. You know, you're meant to get the ingredients, practice it, develop the recipe, and taste the meal yourself. You don't just sit down and just read it and flick through the pages.
There's that whole process that the Vedas they speak of. So you've got the original, the knowledge, the sambandha.
Yeah.
Then the abhideya is the process. So these are Sanskrit words which mean, so you've got the knowledge, the process, and then the prayojana, the goal of that knowledge.
Yeah.
So like this is like a cookbook. You have the knowledge about the ingredients, then you've got the method, you apply the method, and then you get the result is the cake that comes out the oven.
You should taste the result.
Yeah. It
shouldn't just be, I hope this is true, I cross my fingers, wait till I die. But you should experience the result of this knowledge. Yeah.
Not just this sounds good, so I'm going to attach myself and develop a whole personality around this thing that I think sounds good.
Exactly. You should think it sounds good, so therefore I'll practice it, I'll try it, and then see if it works. Yeah. It can't just be like, I have all these different philosophies and I'll just pick one that I think sort of suits me, but rather you practice and you get fantastic results from practicing this. I mean, anyone who has seriously tried to engineer their lifestyle in a way that is in accordance with what is suggested in the Vedas, taste superlative like experience, real spiritual experience. Isn't that right, Charlie?
Yeah, definitely.
We got Charlie in our studio audience. He's the sweetest human being that anyone's ever met, I think. Yeah. So anyway, if we have any... Anyway, so I've gone on a bit of a tangent there. Should we carry on?
Yeah.
Lastly, our senses are imperfect. We're very proud of our eyes. Often someone will challenge, can you show me God? But do you have the eyes to see God? You'll never see if you haven't the eyes. If immediately the room becomes dark, you cannot even see your hands. So what power do you have to see? We cannot therefore expect knowledge or Veda with these imperfect senses. With all these deficiencies in conditioned life, we cannot give perfect knowledge to anyone, nor are we ourselves perfect. Therefore, we accept the Vedas as they are.
Yeah, that analogy. This is one thing with Prabhupada's books. The analogies are so clear. You know, like without light, these eyes are completely useless. We can't even see our own hands in the dark. So like to say that, oh, I only believe in something because I can see it before me is just it's a flawed concept.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, you can't even. Senses are so limited.
mm,
There's a whole world of, you see dogs. The way they can pick up so much more senses, in the sense of smell, than us. So there's a whole world of smells out there
yeah,
that
and
we cannot even pick up on.
it's like that. There's a lobster at the bottom of the ocean, and he's got 16 different colors. Extra, like we've got 7 on our color spectrum: Roy G.
Right.
Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet.
Uh-huh.
And this lobster has like extra 10, like different color, something like that. Like imagine being able to see what I can't even imagine these other colors. Like,
Yeah.
what does that look like? So like we're completely like trapped in this little bubble of, because this body is like our way of seeing the world, isn't it?
Mm.
And we're sort of like we're forced to see the world according to what we can see. Like if you're blind, you can't see through your eyes. If you're deaf, you can't hear through your, like, so we've just got what
Limited.
we've got,
Yeah.
you know, like and why we've got these things is, I think it's explained a little bit. Like it goes into why we have these different like types of coverings, and it's amazing. Like
Yeah, you don't ever think about these things. Like I never really. I tried to think about them, but I was really searching for these sort of things. And when Prabhupada explained, like you said, so simply with these analogies.
That's the thing, when you're relying on your perceptions to make up a philosophy of the world, it's so difficult because you're a tiny little being reaching out into like a seemingly infinite universe to try and come up with a theory, but your brain is like the size of a pea.
Yeah.
So like what theory could you actually come up with? But then it talks about these Vedas, which are sort of the pinnacle of knowledge, and they kind of descend to us. So we get that perspective that comes down to us, so we don't have to reach out, and it's like seems like a much more logical way of receiving like knowledge, receiving understanding of the universe.
Yeah.
Because we are tiny. Like if you look at the facts, like this cup of tea is tiny. It's it's like a little doll's house cup of tea. To me, it seems like a big, giant mug, but it's tiny.
Yeah.
So like we're tiny, and how much could we figure out by our own mental concoction?
Yeah. And it's a natural way to receive knowledge. It's just from higher authority.
What's that analogy of a kid and a fire? You heard that one before? It's like if you tell a kid that fire is hot, he can either accept it as hot and not touch it, or he put his hand in it and burn himself. It's kind of like you can either accept it or not accept it. But ultimately, like, it's fact that you will get burnt if you put your hand in the fire.
Yeah, so you can try it and find out.
Yeah, or just listen to it.
So Prabhupada goes, and you may call the Vedas Hindu, but Hindu is a foreign name. We are not Hindus. Our real identification is Varnashram. Varnashram denotes the followers of the Vedas, those who accept the human society in 8 divisions of Varna and Ashram. There are 4 divisions of society and 4 divisions of spiritual life. This is called Varnashram. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita 4.13, quote, "These divisions are everywhere because they are created by God." The divisions of society are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. Brahmana refers to the very intelligent class of men, those who know what is Brahman. Similarly, the Kshatriyas, the administrator group, are the next intelligent class of men. Then the Vaishyas, the mercantile group. These natural classifications are found everywhere. This is the Vedic principle, and we accept it. Vedic principles are accepted as axiomatic truth, for there cannot be any mistake. That is acceptance. For instance, in India, cow dung is accepted as pure, and yet cow dung is the stool of an animal. In one place, you'll find the Vedic injunction that if you touch stool, you have to take a bath immediately. But in another place, it is said that the stool of a cow is pure. If you smear cow dung in an impure place, that place becomes pure. With our ordinary sense, we can argue this is contradictory. Actually, it is contradictory from the ordinary point of view, but it is not false. It is fact. In Calcutta, a very prominent scientist and doctor analysed cow dung and found that it contains all antiseptic properties. So there's two things there, and one is this idea of varnas, different inclinations, that propensities of work that are just naturally there in human society. You get the intellectual, the intelligent class, Vaishya class. Some people just naturally just are good at making money. Some people prefer to work with their hands. Some people are intelligent. And whatever your propensity is, if you can work out how you want to work in this world in a way that really fits your nature, then you can attain perfection by engaging in spiritual practices while living a material lifestyle that suits.
Yeah, so like these different divisions, like the intelligent class, the administrator, the mercantile, the labour, like these spring up in modern society just naturally. Like you've got the university professors, you've got like the government officials that are administering different, like in businesses, whatever, they're organising things and making things. The mercantile, the businessmen, the traders, and then the labourers that do the physical work. So it's like a natural way that human beings sort of interface with this world. Like, like we naturally fall into sort of, because we all have a different nature. Like, I don't know if we wanted to go into the Bhagavad Gita. Might not have time, is it?
Yeah.
Little pause. It's good. Little bit of breathe.
Well, we could.
You're
saying, should we read that Bhagavad Gita 4:13?
Yeah, 4:13 is it talks about how we have these different. It's a cool verse.
Yeah. Okay. Charlie, do you have a Bhagavad Gita there?
I do.
Charlie, jump up.
Read 4:13.
Yeah,
jump up.
Charlie.
Okay, Bhagavad Gita 4:13. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. Purport. The Lord is the creator of everything. Everything is born of him. Everything is sustained by him, and everything, after annihilation, rests in him. He is therefore the creator of the four divisions of the social order, beginning with the intelligent class of men, technically called Brahmanas, due to their being situated in the mode of goodness. Next is the administrative class, technically called the Kshatriyas, due to their being situated in the mode of passion. The mercantile men, called the Vaishyas, are situated in the mixed mode of passion and ignorance, and the Shudras, or labourer class, are situated in the ignorant mode of material nature. In spite of his creating the four divisions of human society, Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these divisions, because he is not one of the conditioned souls, a section of whom form human society. Human society is similar to any other animal society, but to elevate men from the animal status, the above-mentioned divisions are created by the Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. The tendency of a particular man toward work is determined by the modes of material nature which he has acquired. Such systems of life, according to the different modes of material nature, are described in the 18th chapter of this book. A person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above even the Brahmanas.
Amazing. This is like, again, like what we were talking about earlier, how Prabhupada's purports can be like unpacked. Like there's so much information in like in a brief amount of text. So like it was talking about how everyone's got a nature according to the modes that they've acquired, like that. So I don't know, the modes of nature is a topic that you could do like 10 podcasts about, right? So like, but ultimately there's like three modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So goodness, what symptoms of goodness are?
Happiness, peacefulness. One has knowledge. One's senses are illuminated with knowledge.
Yeah, and then passion is more sort of.
You're more you're driven with desires. Very. Prabhupada said the current society is based on the mode of passion. So you keep building skyscrapers higher and higher and higher. You keep going for economic development. You keep, it's driven by desires, but you're never really satisfied.
Never tushti. That's a Sanskrit word for satisfaction,
Yeah.
right? Tushti. You're never feeling tushti.
Yeah.
You're chasing and chasing, but it's like a dog always chasing a bone.
Yeah, never touched.
And then ignorance is like the lower mode.
Yeah, depression, indolence, sleeping all the time. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can relate. Definitely. It's like this kind of binding, because they say ignorance is like darkness, goodness is like light. So, so goodness comes from knowledge. So without knowledge, you're in darkness. So ignorance is like being in a state devoid of knowledge. So like in the purport, Prabhupada said that we've all acquired different modes by our being in contact in the material world. So like as you mentioned at the beginning, we're conditioned souls. The beginning of Ishopanishad, we're conditioned souls, but because we're in this material world, but by nature we're kind of pure and uncovered. But we've acquired these different modes by interacting with the world in a certain way, and then according to like the law of karma, we take a body based on our actions in previous lives. So based on the ways that we've interacted with these different modes of nature in previous lives. So like someone might be born into a big, strong physical body, but he might not have much intelligence. So he naturally would be drawn to work which is more physical, some sort of labouring job or some sort of that kind of work. And then naturally, some other people might not be so physically strong, but they have the intellect. And this is all to do with the way that you've been interacting with these different modes of nature, like that.
Yeah.
So
it's a good point. Actually, something that we'll base our next course on, the Gita lifestyle courses, because you can actively choose which category of nature that you want to cultivate. So there's things in the mode of goodness. There's certain things which are condition one to a type of happiness, and that's the most conducive lifestyle to develop spiritual qualities. So we're even doing a whole course about that, of how what type of lifestyle in terms of these sort of modalities of material nature is the best to cultivate real spiritual practices.
Yeah, because we're really, as individual souls, we have free will. Like we have the ability to choose how we're interacting with this world.
That's a good thing about a human being. You can give a human a ladder and they'll climb it.
Yeah.
You can. We have the power to really improve and change our lives.
Yeah, this human apparatus is like the best way to do it. Like you can't tell a dog to, all right, dog, get into the mode of goodness now. It's like it's just gonna it'll keep sleeping around and going for a walk and pooping on the floor. But a human being can be the engineer of his own destiny,
Yeah.
So that's what the Gita lifestyle course will be all about: how to situate yourself in the most conducive environment for elevation.
Yeah. Use this human form of life.
Yeah.
I just want to say thanks to Charlie as well for reading so nicely.
Amazing.
He's probably one of the sweetest people in the universe.
Yeah. He's amazing.
I thought another point on here as well, which made me think of when Prabhupada was talking about the stool of a cow is pure.
Yeah.
I was thinking
It's
when
like Ollie's essay.
Yeah.
Krishna.
Yeah, it's pure essay. And then when we have one of my friends, Mantri Raj, when he found this out, that cow dung is pure, when he went home to Belgium, to his mother's house, in order to clean their kitchen, because he became a pure vegetarian and he didn't want anything that had cooked meat was considered to be unclean. So therefore he got lots of cow dung. I don't know where he must have got it from. He must have got it from a field or something. And he cleaned his whole kitchen of cow dung. He smothered cow dung all over the cooker. He said all over the cooker, all over the shelves. His mother was like, what's got into him? But he said it worked. He said it worked really well. Like better than any bleach or anything. In fact, I don't know how. I don't know if it really... Anyway,
maybe we're gonna have to release a new product line of kitchen cleaner with infused with cow dung.
Yeah, we should copyright that idea.
T. Krishna cow dung spray.
Yeah. I mean, I got cow dung soap. You get it in India. You get cow dung soap, cow dung urine. You've drinking some cow dung urine and
cow dung urine. No, yeah, like
cow urine.
Cow urine is meant to be really good for like digestion and stuff like that.
Was it? Did it work?
I don't know. I was me and Gopal we went to someone's house and we were
that was an old bottle of cow urine. That was like, I've even brought some from India for the boys and
Yeah.
stuff. And
No,
it's-
this cow urine, it was like rusty red. It was
Oh,
like deep,
yeah.
like a deep red color.
it wasn't. I've seen fresh cow urine, sorry,
Yeah.
and it's. I mean, imagine cow urine when it's fresh. Because Taraknath drank some, and he said it was, once you get over the psychological hurdle of it being cow urine, it was really good for you. But you had cow urine that would have been in that bottle for months, if not years.
Yeah. And you
Imagine
filled up.
that.
You filled up a mug. I was new. I just moved in the ashram. I was a little fresh-faced, innocent youth. And Gopal said, "Oh yeah, there's a mug of cow urine."
Yeah, and then look at you.
I downed it, and yeah, it was like the strongest whiskey in the world.
Yeah.
It like burnt. It was
Burnt all your insides, and
heavy. Yeah. It was nice though, I guess.
I've never tried it.
But,
I've given it to everyone else. I've come back with like bottles of it and give it to all the devotees and say that it's good for you, but I've never tried it and I never will, I don't think.
You haven't lived.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it for me.
What worth what? The shame of.
It's just not worth. Well, just the psychological. I guess that's my lack of faith in the Vedas.
Yeah. If you would accept these Vedas. Yeah.
I believe the Vedas when it comes to everything spiritual. But when it comes, and I guess it's a deep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I believe it. I think it is good for you and it does clean your insides.
It gives you barnyard breath as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even if no matter how good it is for me, which I believe it. I can believe that.
I believe it.
I can think, that's okay. It's really, but my health isn't that important to me. In terms of like making me do such a thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I just crumbled to peer pressure.
Yeah.
I think that's so. There's so many points, and we're on page 2.5.
Yeah, we haven't even.
Yeah, we haven't
It's
even
on
got
the introduction, but it's. I think if we bring out these points deeply, then when we start to get to the mantras, when first there's the invocation, and then we get to the Sanskrit mantras, and then each mantra, then Prabhupada really goes in depth. I mean, this is just an introduction, where basically what Prabhupada's doing in this introduction is just trying to get you to, open your mind to while you approach these Vedic literatures. Just come in with an open mind and an open heart, and just hear. So he's just trying to establish that you have to, we have to accept some guide, some teacher. We need someone to hold our hand through spiritual life, and Prabhupada is just trying to open us up. Just hear the Sri Upanishad, and so I'm happy to go through the introduction even at a slowish pace, and then we can get into the mantras. Today's subject matter. Yeah.
But it's all tasty. That's the thing. You can relish the nectar at every step.
It's
isn't
all
it?
sweet.
It's all sweet. No, it's I think it's really cool. Like just to go through it and talk about it, you can learn so much. Like this hearing and then chanting, hearing and discussing these topics. It somehow makes the book alive in a sense. Because sometimes you might get one of Prabhupada's books and you try and read it and it just nothing sinks in. But if you read it with some people, especially people practicing this kind of thing, you can really start to I don't know, open a door.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I think just doing this one podcast. This is just episode 1, but I'm excited even just for my own sort of spiritual development. Just hearing these things and discussing them, going through. And if anyone wants to join us, then that's all the better.
It's a beautiful thing. Thank you very much, Gopal.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah.
Sweetest man in the universe.
Big up, Charlie.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. That was episode 1, and we'll see you at episode 2.
We need like some sort of like amazing end.
Yeah,
Like
maybe
some kind of Hare Krishna rave music or something. No?
Yeah, well, we'll get Charlie to look on that. He's our music.
Nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare